Good morning, everyone. Please turn to hymn number 259. Hymn 259, Jesus Saves. First, second, and last stanza. Ready? We have heard the joyful sound. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Spread the tidings all around. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Bear the news to every land. Climb the steeps and cross the waves. Onward 'tis our Lord's command. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Wafted on the rolling tide, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Tell to sinners far and wide, Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Sing the islands of the sea, echo back ye ocean caves. Earth shall keep her jubilee. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Give the winds a mighty voice. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Let the nations now rejoice. Jesus saves, Jesus saves. Shout salvation full and free. Highest hills and deepest caves. This our song of victory. Jesus saves, Jesus saves.
Okay, so just have you turn to the book of Revelation, and let's see what chapter. I believe chapter 11, but we'll find out eventually. Okay, chapter 11. So last week I went to 4 Russian-speaking countries: Macedonia, Kosovo, Montenegro, and Albania. And there are a lot of good things that happened, for me at least. As I mentioned earlier, if I flew through the other Western European countries like London, Paris, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, they're going through strikes. So no one's getting in or out. But because I flew on Turkish Air, and that wasn't my choice. I guess you guys heard my message last time about the fact that I was trying to go for Scandinavian Air and for $1,500 and couldn't get it. And of course, that was a downer when the next cheapest one went from $1,500 to $2,500. But now it's a blessing. It's like, wow, I actually am back home. Not a single flight was canceled. And I looked on the board too. If you look on the board of Turkish Air in Istanbul, none of the flights were canceled or delayed. So I guess you can't have strikes in Turkey. So that's a good airlines to go on. The only bad part was the journey took 2 days. I counted 38 hours. So 38 hours of not sleeping there. So what was it? The country's like? It was really, really hot. And it's kind of unusual. Not a single person's wearing a mask there because of the virus. And I would be on a packed bus with 30 people on the bus. It is 90 or 100 out there. And in the bus, the air conditioning wasn't working that well, which means it was really hot for 7 hours on the bus. And of course, I prayed, I don't catch the virus on this bus. And at the same time, I'm not going to wear a mask. It's hot enough to get heat exhaustion. That's the problem. And there's something else that you may not think about, but it's a deep thought. If you know that you're about to get on a bus for 6 hours or 5 hours or 4 hours, do you drink any water that day, knowing that there's no bathroom on the bus? So basically you drink water the night before, then you get up in the morning. It's like no food, no water, because this is going to be a long bus ride. And there's this. What was really funny was I was at the bus station, and there's this one guy from Sweden, and he said to me, "Oh, you know what? Before I get on the bus, I need to buy some water." And I said to him, "Can you hold it for 5 hours?" He says, "Oh, you're right. Don't don't drink water." So here you are on a hot bus. You haven't had water, and in theory, the bus ride is supposed to be 4 hours. It ends up to be 7 hours, which doesn't make sense. But this is Eastern Europe for you. And one thing I'm glad about San Francisco is I'm getting bitten by mosquitoes every day in Europe. And I even got stung by a bee, on the first day, and my hand was swollen. That's another message. But the cost of living is much lower. It's surprising. I can get medicine for $2. I got my own room, a cheap one for $20, and then I decided to splurge, go for the hotel room inside the middle of a walled city. Only $60. That's cheaper than Motel 6. So I like the cost of living there. It's great, except you got to learn some Russian when you're there, because I would go up to the people and say to them, "Anglishki," and of course, if they speak English, then I can ask them questions. So the four countries, 3 of them were kind of poor, but there's no crime per se. The one that's really fun to go to is Montenegro. And I was mentioning to my brother on Friday what Montenegro's got like. I know that Ben and Jade went there, and they told me to, climb up the mountain. So on the first, every day I'm in a different country, but Macedonia, there's so much to see. I was there 3 days. So one day I was in Budva, which is a great family city. People actually go swimming in the beach and everything. Second day, it was like Kotor. It's like, there's probably nothing to do in Kotor except, Ben and Jay told me climb the mountain. So that day I was about to climb the mountain, and then it was like 90 to 100 degrees. And you know what? I don't even feel like walking on a flat surface, let alone climb a mountain. So I was walking along the bay, and all these Russian-speaking people were asking me whether I wanted to do the boat tour. It's like, that's not even in my mind. Boat tour, what's in it? And then it's like, it's only 30 euros, bucks, same thing. And it was basically like, if you like James Bond movies, how many here have seen a James Bond movie? Okay, good. James Bond movies always has some secret submarine thing that goes into a cave, and then you have this control center. They actually have one of those there, built by real Russians. And then they also have, if you happen to see movies like Uncharted, where you go into this cave with water, there's nothing there, but you have to dive underneath the cave to get to the buried treasure. So it was great. 30 euros for 3 hours. Where can you get that much fun? So yeah, so you can skip the other 3 countries. I went there because I got to go to all the countries in the world, but Montenegro was great. Majority of the people going to Montenegro were Serbian, which spoke kind of like Russian. So we're going to look at chapter 11 in Revelations, and we finished verse number 1, but we'll read verse number 1, then verse number 2. Okay. And there was given unto me a reed like unto a rod. The angel stood, saying, Arise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein. Okay, verse number 2. But the court which is outside of the temple, leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, the holy city. They shall tread under foot 42 months. Okay, so the last few months I've been talking about is what is the furniture that's in the tabernacle. And you guys are experts, okay? So I'm not going to review it anymore. So we're going to do verse number 2. So verse number 2 says basically, something that should not be measured. But verse number 2, the court which is outside of the temple, leave out and measure not, for it is given unto whom? It's given to not the Jews, but the Gentiles. And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months. So I do have to draw a picture, though. Okay, so we have the tabernacle here. And remember, I divided it here, and here's the ark right there. And then you have various furniture like this, right? Which looks like it forms the shape of a cross. And, oh yeah, you got the inset thing here. And outside you have the court, which in this particular case is called the court where the Gentiles are. And so I just mentioned, I'm going to talk about the court today. Okay. Back then, no one could really walk in here unless you're a Levite priest Jew. But here, anyone can walk in here. And this court was really famous, okay, during the days of Jesus. During the days of Jesus, do you remember what happened was Jesus entered into this, here's the door, okay? Jesus entered the door, and what did he see happen in the court? He saw people buying and selling and trading and making money, and Jesus said, "You've made my house a den of thieves." Okay, it's supposed to be for worshiping God. So what happened here? Basically, there's a rule that the Jews have to go and sacrifice for their sin once a year. Okay, so if you were a very rich Jew, then you would sacrifice, you can afford a cow. And most people in this room today, I really believe, cannot afford a cow. I don't even know how much a cow costs today. Or cow, cattle, bull. Okay, excuse me, it has to be a bull because it has to be a male livestock that's sacrificed. And then for those of you who don't know the difference, the cow is female and the bull is male. And you know, I had to learn these terms. Okay, you can't sacrifice a pig, but a female pig is a sow, and a male pig is, I don't know, is it a what? But I did learn the chicken. The female one is called. I'll give the Lolita. The female chicken is called a what? Yeah, very good. And Kevin, what's the male chicken called? Okay, rooster or cock. Yeah. Okay. So I'm beginning to learn all the names of the animals. Oh, here's a trivia one. Okay. So I'll give it to Sean. It has nothing to do with the Bible, but you know what a peacock is, right? What's the female peacock called? I had to learn this in India. Yeah, peahen. Okay, that was the same answer. You know, the pen, the cock. So the birds are the same. Anyway, if you were rich, you sacrifice a bull. Okay, and I think no one here can afford a bull. But if you were poor, you can sacrifice a goat. Okay, so what's the female goat called? What's the male goat called? So I think the female sheep is called the UEWE. The male one is called I don't know. So does anyone know the answer of what a male called a ram, right? Yeah. You don't have female rams. You have female ewes and male rams. Okay. So you have to sacrifice a ram, a goat ram, or a sheep ram. Okay. Now for the chicken, if you really can't afford one of those, I think everyone can afford a chicken, right? I remember I went to Chinatown and I took a course in the California Academy of Sciences, and we had to stuff a bird, and I had to find a dead bird. So I went around with the rifle trying to shoot birds off people's roofs. Someone called the police, and then I had to run and hide. And then, then I said, okay, I'll do plan B, go to Chinatown. And you know why Grant Street smells so bad? Because they actually have the chickens there, and it smells like chickens too. Bought the chicken, and then unfortunately named it Barney. And we had to kill Barney. And I think I learned a lot about killing Barney. Okay, so normally we go to the store, we eat meat, we never see anything killed. When God, when Adam and Eve sinned, God had to sacrifice a lamb. The Adam and Eve was so shocked in seeing an animal die. Okay, so this is the first time I had to literally kill an animal. And I was speaking to youth church about the Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Okay, has anyone ever killed? And of course, no one killed. Has anyone ever killed an animal? And then no one killed. Raise your hand. I said, has anyone here eaten an animal? And then they, of course, they raise their hand. I said, you know, eating the animal means someone has to kill the animal. So you are killing the animal when you eat the animal. So uh, has anyone killed an animal? What animal did you kill? A rat? Oh, yeah. Even killing a rat's no fun. Oh, yeah. By the way, in Eastern Europe, I saw mouse and rats running around. It was kind of creepy. But what's really cool is in the city of Kotor, there are cats everywhere. So I never figured it out. Why do you have cats all over your town? To get rid of the rats and mice, right? And they have a cat museum, a cat store. With the place I was staying at, there was a cat in front of my door. It's like, you know, we don't. You in San Francisco, it's so abnormal to see cats everywhere. Over there, they have cats in every alley. Anyway, so it was it's my project. I have to kill Barney, and my dad says, "I'll help you. I'll spray ether on it. Then you take the string and you strangle Barney." By the way, don't name your animals if you're going to kill them, right? So I had to strangle Barney, and then Barney died, and then for some reason Barney woke up, and I had to kill Barney again. But this time I didn't. You know, I'm in high school. This time I really didn't feel like killing Barney. So my neighbor, she lived upstairs. Her name was Gay, and I said, "Hey, Gay, can you help me kill Barney?" So my dad sprayed the chemical. Gay took the string, killed Barney, and I got to visualize what it is to kill an animal. That is sacrifice, okay? And that is a picture of the sacrifice of Jesus. Killing an animal is bad. Killing a bull is really bad, though we have to eat it. Killing Jesus is even worse, a real human. So because they had to sacrifice once a year, people from all over the world that were Jews came to sacrifice. Now, people from all over the world didn't have the same currency. So the Jews in Israel used shekels and things like that. And so therefore you had to exchange currency. So they had banks in here, okay? They had banks in here, and the bank people were ripping off with the exchange. Shang gave me this apps for my cell phone that allows you to figure out how much a Turkish lira is worth and how much a dinar is worth in Kosovo and how much a euro is worth. And so I know I'm not getting ripped off, but the people are getting ripped off there. And Jesus said, "Hey, this is a den of thieves, you bankers." Okay, and then you had these farmer people, and they were or ranchers. They were selling their pigeons and their other animals at a high rate. Okay, they're not supposed to. I mean, this was a profit thing. And of course, Jesus started turning over the tables, saying, "You guys are turning it into a den of thieves." Now, if you're really poor, you can't afford the chicken, then you do the dove. And is there a difference between the name between a male dove and a female dove? One is a hen. One is a hen. Hey, Mel, what's the word for a male pig? The female is a sow, a male pig is a boar. Is it? Yeah, it's a boar. Yeah, I got it, boar. So then you have the pigeon for really poor people. And then if you're really, really poor, you bring, if you're a farmer, you bring your own grain. Okay, so grain is worth something. And I think Arlene got this last time when I spoke, which is after all these animals are sacrificed and burnt at the altar, then what happens to them? Okay, so I'm gonna choose people that I think doesn't know the answer, and then they learn more when they learn the answer. Hey, Faye, after all these animals are killed, what do they do with them? Very good, very good. And is there symbolism behind that? So the symbolism is this: if they sacrifice the animal like a bull and they threw it away, that means it becomes waste, right? Jesus is not waste. So they take the bull, they sacrifice, they eat the meat, and the meat gives life. So therefore, the picture is Jesus is life. So all these animals aren't killed. And you know what? The wheat comes in handy, right? I'm sure they don't want to eat meat all day, which is like some of my vacations. There was no veggies in these Russian-speaking countries. So, oh yeah, the meat I ate all day was, gyros, if you know what those are, or falafel things, okay? But anyway, the priest would like to eat some grains with their meat also. So everything has to be eaten, can't be thrown away, represents Jesus. And it says that the money changers and the vendors, one day the Gentiles will tread this area, okay? That yard area, and the yard area has a name. It's called the court, if you can remember that. The court was taken over by the Gentiles several times in history, but in the future, it says that the court will be taken over by the Gentiles for 42 months. Okay, so 42 months is equal to how many years? So divide this by 12. I think it's a minimum of 3, and then 6. Oh yeah, and 6 months, 3.5 years. So yeah, I don't know if your Shang, your conversion thing can do months to years, can it? I've never tried that. Okay, I tried other things on Shang's thing. So it says in the future, the Gentiles will take over this area. Okay. Well, let's talk about the past. Did the Gentiles ever take over this area in the past? Yes, they have. But before I do that, Daniel, if you want to see something that Melvin can explain, mathematically, Daniel 12:11 tells you when in the future is going to happen. So let's look at Daniel 12:11. So I'm not a math guy. So if you guys have questions about when it's going to happen, you can ask Melvin. Okay, he is a math guy. Okay, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel. So 12:11 states, I didn't know it's the last chapter of Daniel. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away and the abomination that make it desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Okay, so Mel, what is 1,000? What is? Yeah, it's 3.5 years. If you don't, so that these days are divided into 365, right? And I'm having a problem even figuring out what the number here is. It says 1,290. Okay, so trust Melvin. It's this number here. Okay, and then he'll probably tell you how to find the exact time date, which I don't know. But did the Gentiles ever take over this area before? Yeah, they did. In the year 167 BC. Okay. So I know you guys don't memorize stuff, but there's a timeline. If Jesus is the year 0, right? And we know that he was crucified around 33, right? 33, I can't even write 33, 33 AD. We're in the 2022. Where are the various empires? So the Greek Empire was 300 AD to 100. And then this is the Greek. The Roman Empire was 100 to. Oh, yeah, that's a real deep question. 100 till when? So I'll start asking people in the audience, see if they can get. Hey, Brandon, since you go to low high school, we have high standards. When did the Roman Empire end? Okay, that's fine. And your brother goes to Lowell. So when did the Roman Empire end? That's a good guess. Year 1000. Okay, so Marco Polo walked across the year 1200. Okay, so that's a good guess. How about you, Brendan? When did the Roman Empire end? This is a pretty good guess. 1500 is when Columbus sailed around the world and discovered Americas, 1492. And 1500 is when the Portuguese finally landed in India. So I'll just ask one more UC person. If you didn't graduate from UC, you don't have to worry. So, oh, Dominique, did you graduate from UC Berkeley? Then we have a knowledgeable person here. When did the Roman Empire end? 1700s. That's 1776 when America was formed. Okay, here's the answer. It's a trick question. It hasn't ended. We're still living in the age of the Roman Empire. There's no new empire that's taken over till the next one in Revelation. Okay, so I know I'm running over my time. I don't care. So when I went to Europe, if you want to know what's Roman Empire, everything that uses Roman alphabets is Roman Empire, right? And the countries I went to were using the Cyrillic alphabets, but Kosovo and Montenegro, I'm shocked. They're supposed to use Cyrillic alphabets. Now they're using Roman alphabets. They're switching over. The Roman Empire is still going on. So we're going to end off with that. Next time we'll talk more about when the Greeks occupied this. So let's bow for a word of prayer. Okay, dear God, we want to thank you that we can learn a lot about the book of Revelation. We know that you used the Roman Empire to spread Christianity throughout the world. And we know that there's going to be another change in the future. And we'll learn more about that next time in the book of Revelation. We want to thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay, so Mel, am I supposed to make all the biggie announcements of flyer passing, or you will do it? And I forgot to do this. Okay, so I'm going to give this to Willie. Every year we have to pass out flyers, which is really coming up close to the 19th, and we want you to pray about it, fast at least one meal, and give out at least one flyer. Okay, thanks. And you might look at the picture there. Unfortunately, Dominique's in the picture. The last one we used, Brandon was in the picture. Okay, who has a Samsung? You have to teach me how to use this when I'm driving a car.